down, chop it down, chop it down, you gon' chop it down. Chop it down, you gon' chop it down.
I just appreciate everybody
Down,
watching.
set,
Man.
watch him throw the ball, we gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive, this is Trap or Dive.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh man, what's going on with y'all in the comments, dog? I see you out too. I see you, Hawk, Jarian. Did y'all see a game about a couple of minutes ago, man? That was the longest game I ever seen before. I'm playing, but welcome back to another episode of Trap or Die Podcast, provided to you by 214 Media. Look, y'all know why we here, man. 2020 tie for them boys in the Burgundy and Gold against the New York Giants on the road. In the Meadowlands, I think, or MetLife, whatever. I don't know anymore. I see how y'all feeling in the comments. Let me go ahead and bring some of the comments in here, get that thing kicked off right. Al too. I'm gonna come back with this one because I think we're gonna have a conversation for obvious reasons about that boy Carson Wentz. So let me come back to your first two comments and let's go down the line. Let down by a defense that let DJ Gassers repeatedly out. All right. Joey Slide missed a field goal. We're not going to put no S at the end of that. What's going on with you, Hawk? I see you. A head coach who chose to run the ball when play action was wide open in overtime. Can't blame the play that much. But Ronald needs to learn to trust Taylor Heineke in clutch moments. I ain't even going to say all that. I'm going to just say it's not about trusting Taylor himself. He is just conservative by nature. And that's ultimately, at the end of the day, when you had a moment to try and win the game, that's ultimately what hurt these boys in that overtime moment. A 3rd and 9 situation, and you find yourself running the football. You don't even want to give yourself a shot to try and go down the field. And the thing is that kills me out to is the fact that you run it on 3rd and 9. And you try to play for the tie, and you ultimately still end up giving the New York Giants a chance to win the game. Like, the punt doesn't really put you in great field position. So what was the point of going for a run if you could have just went for the first down and tried to win the game? Incompletion on 3rd and 9 is no better than having a punt on 4th and 4. Like, whatever 4th down it was, I'm just saying. Like, none of that stuff even matters, man. Let me go ahead and keep going through some of these right quick, and we'll get AJ checked in. He said, I'll take the tie, just blowing out steam. At the end of the day, that's the worst. I mean, the worst case scenario is obviously losing, but
what you mean you'll take the tie? Like,
I mean, that's when it comes down to it, that's kind of
this is a game. This is a game they should have won, point blank, period, man. At some point, you have to play a balanced game. You can't keep doing the same thing in and out every week. Like, your running attack is not that powerful to where you think you could just sit back and not really have to put the ball in your quarterback's hands to make some plays. Like, they're asking him to make basic passes as an NFL quarterback. Some people might want to say that Scott Turner doesn't trust Taylor Heineke, whatever the case is. Well, shit, if he's going to continue to line up as your quarterback, one of the most important positions in all of football, you have to put some trust in him or simplify and make it easy. Maybe just do crossers, because anything else downfield, he's not hitting. A couple weeks ago after the Indianapolis Colts game, Terry and Taylor Heineke's team went and made merchandise that said, Terry's down there somewhere. Nah, that shirt needs to be revised, and they need to put Yao Ming is down there somewhere, because these passes are high as hell and they're not catchable. Like, if you're missing wide open Logan Thomas, who's 6'6", 6'7", and still athletic some degree, we have major issues. You can't win games. Like, that first drive after they got the turnover, that's a touchdown. You need
Hey,
those type of points right
and
now.
and listen, AJ, the thing that kills me is because like we talk about it all the time, how this team is end up on third down, how this team is end up in the red zone. And you're talking about a situation where you settle for 3 after a turnover and you ultimately score that game winning touchdown at the last drive. But if you even if that's a 4-point swing. So you're talking about 4 possessions, AJ, where after they score, right? After New York Giants go up 20-13, you're talking about 4 possessions where you could have tried to tie it with a field goal instead of having to force yourself and get into the end zone. And ultimately, if Joey Slott makes that field goal, you're talking about 20-20 with a chance to win the game at the end of the win the game at the end of the drive or the end of the quarter. And instead, you're talking about trying to force into overtime. So I 100% agree, man. It's a mess. But go ahead, you got it.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't even know, bro. Like, I just hate watching games where it ends up in a tie. Like, I just don't understand it.
Yeah. So to get the tie conversation out of the way, because we'll get back into the game. Was the I mean, Altu did say, I mean, it's hard. Like we're forced to take the tie. Like this reminds me of the Cincinnati game. It's a clear Washington should have won. Um, both teams, to be honest with you, had chances to win, and I'm not even going to knock New York because New York's approach to this game, it was way more. I guess you kind of understood what they were trying to do. Like they didn't hide from the fact that they were going to use Daniel Jones and Saquon to beat you all day. That's literally their entire offense. I remember at one point, and it may have been halftime, and it may actually be the entire game. I'm about to double check right now. It was only 2 people who had rushing attempts for the New York Giants. It was Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. 18 attempts for Saquon, 13 attempts for Daniel Jones. They combined for 134 yards on 31 carries for 4.3 yards a carry. And they had no other mission on offense except for we're going to run it with Daniel. We're going to run it with Saquon. We'll take our chances on the scrambles and we'll just heave it deep to Darius Slayton and hope for the best. And that's what they tried throughout the game. That's what they tried in that second quarter where they hit it with Christian Holmes. Where I thought it was a little shove. It was a subtle shove. So I'm not going to sit here and complain about it. Should have been OPI. But then you're talking about in the last drive of the game where he's heaving it deep to Darius Slayton on the first play of that last drive, and that one should have been a catch. So we're talking about so many opportunities where it should have went back and forth in Washington's favor or New York's favor. It was just a back and forth game, to be honest with you. And I can't really sit here and say, I mean, sure, like I mentioned, Washington should have won, but New York had their chances too, and they didn't hide what they were trying to do. And so for Washington to be in moments unprepared on both sides of the football was kind of it was kind of embarrassing, man. Those sacks that Washington allowed, I understand that comes from a sense of a great disguise from Wink Martindale or whatever his name is, right? But at the same time, like these are instances like AJ, we talked about it against the Detroit game, I think Philly, and maybe like 1 or 2 other games as well. Cover zero pressures and disguising your line up front, like this is stuff that Washington has clearly not been able to prepare for too well throughout the season. And one, you result in a fumble near your end zone that ultimately gives a touchdown. There was another fumble that kills a drive. That puts you back. It's like a 2nd and 16ish or something like that. And all of resulting off the strength of and matter of fact, in overtime, AJ. Overtime, you get a drive like the very first play of your drive inside the 10. Taylor Heineke almost gets sacked for a safety. And you're not prepared for this. For I don't know how your offensive line does not pick up the edge rusher. Maybe they're leaving the edge man free.
It wasn't Leno's fault on that play. It was Taylor Heineke. He's supposed to slide the protection. He's supposed to pick up who is.
It's always been the center though. They said that in the beginning of the year though.
But yeah, my bad for cutting you off. But my thing is, your offensive coordinator has to know better and put you in better positions to not have that happen. Coming into this game, I already said that Wink Martindale, this is what he does. He blitz. He will play man coverage. So, like in this case, make it easy for your quarterback. If you are trying to pass the ball, give him some extra protection and have crossers. Like you could do multiple crossers. Like set some pick routes, some natural pick routes, something, because at the end of the day, like they're coming. It doesn't matter if they're elite players or not, it's not enough men to block who was coming. That is the whole point of the defense. And, fortunately for them, with that Kayvon Thibodeau sack, it wasn't a strip sack or a safety, like you said, because easily on that play, that should have ended the game right there. So
Yeah. Let's go ahead and start some things up from the top because we did just get off our overall thoughts from some of these key moments. And first and foremost, I think my place where I'm starting is the obvious reasons, right? Um, the offense. Well, first off, the surprise was the defense early on. Going up 10-0 is good, right? And understanding you had that opportunity from a short field position, but then you're going up 10-0 in a situation where you really thought Taylor Heineke and Daniel Jones both started off very efficient for their offenses until things started to get very muddy, to put things lightly. And for, I guess, the Christian Holmes experiment didn't last too long. And I think things really started with that when New York tied it, or excuse me, when New York went down 10-3, they kicked that field goal. That very next drive, that bomb to Christian Holmes' side really started to be like a mini spiral for the rookie. I believe he ended up getting replaced, I think, at the beginning of the first half. AJ, maybe, I mean, second half, maybe you can correct me on that if I'm wrong, but he did end up getting replaced by Danny Johnson. But defensively, just seeing how sometimes Daniel Jones still found those lanes, whether it was from the designed runs or whether it's from play action towards the edge. You just didn't see that contain or that discipline from the rush line at times that really hurt this team. I think at one point, matter of fact, in the second, at the end of the first half, Daniel Jones had 4 first downs that he accounted for on his legs with his legs. And overall, like, that offense truly moved through 2 people. So I'm just surprised early on how Washington wasn't able to really adjust defensively from New York Giants and Daniel Jones and their approach. And if you have anything on the defense altogether, because I'll get to the second half, because the second half is really what changed the tone. But I'll stop there and go to like any thoughts before we get to that second half, because I really thought that they stepped things up like in a major way for this team, because by God, that offense, man, we're gonna stop there. What are your thoughts on the first half and their approach to really allow what they did for Daniel Jones in that offense? Boom. I'll wait for AJ. Probably, I think there was some noise back there. So I'll get to my defensive side too. What's going on, Ralph? I see you. I don't have the energy to fight off the hive today. Points left on the field again. That is for sure. 20 points allowed is more than enough effort to win that game, and that is a fact. And that's ultimately what I'm getting to, Ralph. Just understand that you give up 20 points in the first 17, 18 minutes, or excuse me, first 33, 35 minutes of the game, and you force your last, after that touchdown, you force punts on every single one of those last drives. After that last touchdown allowed, you force punts, and you give Washington 4+ opportunities on the offensive side of the football to put points up on the board, and you have 2 drives, 2 10+ drives offensively that amounts to 0 points and 13+ minutes gone off the clock. That I don't even remember the last time I seen anything like that, Ralph. This defense stepped up in a major way, and thankfully Washington was able to give themselves a chance to win it at the end by tying the game up. But it should have never even went down to that point where you're asking Taylor Heineke in that offense to put up a game-winning drive in that type of situation. That defense played a hell of a game in that second half. That first half is more so where I was leaning to. AJ, you got the floor again, man. If you want to kind of see what you thought about the defensive approach early on, and how they stepped up in that second half.
I feel like the defense approach has been the same with every team that they face. They really haven't differentiated their schemes or their philosophy, no matter who they played. As I stated in our last episode last week, they struggle against dual threat quarterbacks. Last week we seen Marcus Mariota have his way in the running game, and that's just Marcus Mariota. So Daniel Jones, aka Vanilla Vic, he was able to extend plays and make opportunities to convert third downs due to his legs. And even at the end, they tried to do it again. Unfortunately, their backfield had some mishaps, but overall defensively, Washington did exactly what I thought they would do against them. I wish that they would have had Jamin Davis spy or even Curl spy a little bit more to keep Daniel Jones honest within the pocket. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. Giants don't have a formidable passing game. So that was one thing that was a bonus. Christian Holmes should not be playing. He should not be playing defensively. Just let him stay the special teams. And I still think you need to go and get a veteran corner. Even when Ben comes back, you still need a corner to play within the scheme that has a veteran presence, because as you can see, when one of your guys goes down, you're using a rookie, and then you're using a guy that you've been on and off elevating from practice squad.
Yeah,
And
that
Danny
gotta
Johnson.
be mentally draining. Just like, do y'all want, like, how are y'all starting a rookie over me, and then you bench the rookie when I should have been playing over him to begin with, like in replacement of Benjamin St. Juste. But to your point though, AJ, like, I don't want you to gloss over the fact that Benjamin St. Juste is clearly, I mean, you didn't gloss over it, but he's a very important part to this defense. And I think it was just a matter of time till you kind of see what type of exposure Christian Holmes can get if somebody can find a way to target him. And it's not the fact that Christian Holmes is a bad cornerback, but you're talking about a 7th round pick coming in and performing and fitting into a defense where he may not be ready yet. And I don't think he had a terrible game like Twitter would like to suggest he did. But when you get picked on, obviously, and you allow a touchdown, he ain't don't like Kendall Fuller has allowed several touchdowns this year. Like, things happen, but when you get picked on, like, this one was one of those games where the Giants were successful in finding the rookie and challenging him downfield, and he did not do a good job in the moments where he was targeted today. But he didn't. He was around the ball. He just wasn't. It was only one time where I really saw him get beat bad, and that was the one in the end zone on the whip route.
Yeah, and I mean, he'll never be ready. Some people just got it, some people just don't. And I mean, it's nothing
You
that
quit
you
on
can.
him, bro?
I mean, it's just like you could just see if someone has it or not. Just the eye test. Like, I mean, I come from a background where I'm supposed to evaluate talent and invest in them and representing them, and it's just like that's just not the guy. And you just don't want to put him in a position to where he has to defend himself in this nature. I mean, he got scored on. It could have been even worse if Giants had a passing attack, you know.
Yes.
And even if you flip the other side of the table, Washington, if they had a better quarterback, they could have done the same thing to Fabian Moreau and the other corners that were out there playing today. Like, Giants are not a good secondary, and they're playing with young players as well. It's just that, Giants went about trying to take some attempts downfield more than Washington, especially at the end. You seen them dial up 3 deep balls. Like, either we're going to get the PI because these guys are inexperienced, or either we're going to make a play on the ball. Fortunately for them, defensively, Washington, they didn't get the PI, and they didn't make the catch when necessary.
I was
So,
about to say, because that Slayton boy, that I don't even know. I don't even think
the
I saw the
Slayton-
replay how he was wide open. I don't even think I saw.
Man, he does that every year. Last year was the same exact thing. Like, he missed a wide open touchdown with nobody in attendance. Like,
Yeah, hey, Grizz, hey, what's going on with you, bro? I left this up here because I wanted to tell you first and foremost, your mistake was doing the 15-leg parlay. Why on God green earth would you do a 15-leg parlay first and foremost, and then secondly, why on God's green earth are you putting Washington on your 15-leg parlay? We need to talk. If you going to gamble, bro, please hit my phone. But I know it was probably a dreamer, so I'm gonna leave you alone. It was probably like a dreamer parlay, and I'll cool it for real. But yes, please don't make that a daily habit, and please don't put more than $20 on a 15-leg parlay, my brother. Let's get into the hard part, man. or maybe the easy part. And I seen where Altu started the conversation. Everybody, you saw what he asked us. Do you think Wentz? Do you still think Wentz gives us a better shot? Taylor Heineke gave us as good as an opportunity as we could have hoped today. I don't agree with that in the slightest. I think it's actually a little bit misleading to say as good as an opportunity as we could have hoped. There was literally 2 interceptions that should have been interceptions on that last drive following the New York Giants 3 and out. So let's not forget that. Just as quickly as he and that offense tied the game up for Washington, they almost lost it on the following possession. I think that is important to take into account as well. There were several overthrows. I mean, look, Taylor Heineke started the day pretty well, right? I have his first half numbers here. 11 of 16, 102 yards and 1 touchdown. Very quiet pedestrian numbers, but you end the day 27 of 41, 274 or 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, right? 5 sacks for 29 yards. Not much he could do on the sacks. The pressures came from a lot of good disguises in the offensive line. Cornelius Lucas continuing to get beat. Your tight ends having some bad days, some bad drives in particular. And your running back and tight ends failing to pass protect, double team one person. I'm not going to blame them too much for the sacks, for all of the sacks. I'll look at the film and get back to that. But from a passing standpoint, several opportunities. We can't forget, like, the Logan Thomas overthrow is a real thing in that first drive after the turnover. That's real. That's very much real. And then you have the crosser on 3rd down, I believe, like early 4th quarter, where Curtis Samuel's running that crosser on 3rd down, and he's throwing it more vertically, whereas Curtis Samuel is crossing the field and towards the sideline, and that one should have been picked off. and the crazy thing is, I looked at that play, where I'm like, is he signaling to Curtis that he thought he was carrying it vertically, but the safety's right over top. So why are you trying to tell him to go vertical when it would have been a bad play either way? I don't understand what you were doing, Taylor. So to the conversation of, does Wentz still give us a better shot? I don't even know. No, I think I know AJ's answer, but I'll speak for myself, and I'll put this out here for everybody now that's here. I don't know if Wentz gives us a better shot. I never said that he did give us a better shot. However, I do know that Wentz never had the same situation that Taylor Heineke has had from the offensive perspective. So if you're going to give him an opportunity, Carson Wentz, this is the time to do it now, because you have Brian Robinson back, you have your tight ends back, your playmakers. You're starting to find out what you do well offensively. It's nothing to brag about, but you have something that you do well offensively, and that is limiting the quarterback play for your offense. So you have to find a way to see what you can do at that quarterback position. And if you trust a guy with a stronger arm, and think that you can take his negatives compared to Taylor's negatives, then that's what you rock out with. You gotta try something else, because you're in a situation where we always said it was only a matter of time until Taylor has a bad game. Now, statistically, no interceptions.
You've been bad this whole tenure.
Exactly. And so that's where I'm trying to get to. Like, statistically, you may sit here and look at the numbers and say, well, he hasn't had a bad game yet. And you know that's not true because you watch the games. But at the end of the day, you now in a situation where you're tied. And you got 4 games left and you're coming off a bye week. This is a good opportunity. If you're going to make the switch, you do it now. And you get your starter, you're going into the regular season starter, you get him back into the lineup. I honestly don't even think, too, this is the last thing, my bad, AJ. I honestly don't even think, too, the more I dwell on this, I don't know how everybody in the chat feels, but I honestly think the more that I dwell on this, the switch from Taylor to Heineke to Carson is not going to be as dramatic in the locker room as people think. Like, I understand that people love Taylor, but I don't think that they're going to be like bummed that Taylor isn't playing anymore. So you got to take that into account too. I think that is overblown as well.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, man, you need to become a more balanced team. Excuse me, offensively, especially when your defense is playing like this. They're still creating turnovers. They're keeping you in the game. They're giving you better uh, field position to be able to score these points, and you're not capitalizing. I mean, the red zone play calling is bad, but there's also some opportunities there to make a play, and Taylor just doesn't have the arm to make those plays. Either he's not going to throw it, or either it's going to be high. And Yao Ming does not play wide receiver for the Washington Commanders. I'm gonna
He throw
keep
loaded
bringing up
times with
Yao
10
Ming.
feet tall, bro.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep bringing up Yao Ming because everything is overthrown, everything is high. Carson Wentz has the same type of issues, but that's typically in the middle of the field. But like red zone, I mean, damn,
My
bro,
bad,
like
Jay.
you're missing wide open dudes, 6'6", and your tallest starting wide receiver is probably Terry, who's barely 6 feet. So it's like anytime you throw the ball to Curtis Samuel or Jahad Dotson, they don't even have the opportunity to make a play. Your tight end 6'6" is being missed every game that you play, bro. Like, so for me, it's beyond ridiculous. If it were up to me, I would have switched quarterbacks at halftime
Yeah,
because
yeah.
because I need to score points to win games. Like, I can't keep asking my defense to go out there and bail me out. Even when they do bail me out, I still need to be able to score. I need to be able to push the ball downfield. I need to be able to pose some type of threat. Like, the deep ball does not exist within this offense. You can barely throw anything intermediate or mid range. Then even to end the game, the last drive offensively that they had, I mean, Scott Turner, you know that your screen plays have not been working all season, and that's what you decide to go with on third down. It's like, come on, man. Like, at the end of the day, if Martindale is sending out blitzers, like, it's man on man, you should be able to trust that your three guys at wide receiver, and Samuel, Terry McLaurin, and Jahad Dotson, can make a play with the ball in their hands if they just get it, even if they're short of the first down. We've seen what Jahad Dotson did today. He finally gets targeted more than once in comparison to last week, and he takes a simple play, runs upfield, spin move, touchdown. That's all you need to do is put the ball in your guys' hands.
Boy got
I
that
mean,
dog,
I
man.
I appreciate the Curtis Samuel out the backfield, but are we trying to make this motherfucker J.D. McKissick? Like, is he a third down back? Like, what's going on? Like, involve him in the passing game as well. Like, just pose more of a threat in the passing game. That is what's needed. You don't necessarily need to try to call plays like Carson Wentz is back there week one again. You can run the same formula, but you need to be able to play off of it, just like the Giants did today. They played off of their run game, whether it was comeback routes, whether it was crossers. They went downfield to Slayton. We already talked about his non-catching ass. Uh, but I mean, you just need more from that position. And yeah, I mean, I feel like this was the last time Commanders fans, unless something happens to Carson Wentz uh, after he's put back into the starting lineup. But this is your last time seeing Taylor Heineke as a Commander quarterback for the rest of the season,
What was
because you need more from this. You can't tie division games, like, especially in December. Like, it's so many implications that comes with it, especially if these two are battling to make it to the P word. One is now what, 7-4-1.
7-5-1, 7-4-1. Yeah.
Yeah, like, come on, dog. Like, you can't tie these games in NFL. It's 2022, man. Like, I don't sit here and utilize days out my fucking day to watch tie games. Like either do a I don't know if any of y'all seen it, but either do like Dr. Pepper halftime challenge did, where they did the tiebreaker
The
challenge the day
tiebreaker.
before. Do that or something, but we can't be watching no tie games, man. That is ridiculous. There's no such thing as a tie in real life. Like, you got to battle
So
it out.
So shout out to Zoov. I want to get you. I appreciate you checking in and showing some love. So I'll go ahead and answer your question about a draw. How do you feel about a draw? Matter of fact, chat. Let Zoo how you feel. Let them know how you feel about a draw. This happened to Washington before about 6 years ago against the Cincinnati Bengals in London. And I feel the exact same way. Well, actually, this one I probably feel a little bit. I feel a little bit more worse because Actually, I feel a little bit more relieved. Last time I was so confused, like I don't even know how to feel. This was 6 years ago. I don't know how to feel about a draw. This is an AFC opponent. I had no idea how this can actually impact Washington down the line. It ultimately did impact Washington down the line. But nobody wants a tie. Nobody wants to draw. And the way that Washington played against the Giants in overtime was actually frustrating. AJ brought up a good point when he was talking that the screenplay on 3rd and 9 while they were in essentially no man's land. AJ, like if you get a positive play there, you're talking about going for it on 4th down. This was a very good start to the drive in overtime, and all you need is probably like 3 or 4 yards, maybe even 2 yards, and you're going for it. But now you're at a 3rd and 9 because you run that screen call that wasn't really executed well. But then also, it was a screen that the Giants had seen before several times in the way they set it up. So now you lose that possession in that overtime. You can't even go for it. You can't afford to go for it on 4th and 9 because you got no yards for it. But to your question, man, how do you feel about it? This was a game that Washington should have won, but also very much could have lost. And you're relieved from I'm relieved from a standpoint of you can't afford to lose against the Giants at all. You couldn't afford to lose to them today. You couldn't afford to lose to them in 2 weeks from now. So having a tie gives
I'd
you
rather
that.
you lose, bro. Like
No. So listen. Let me say.
Like,
so I'm saying if you can't beat the Giants this week, like the best case scenario, which was not plausible, you really can't like predict a tie. But you're saying the tie keeps you alive in the playoff race. If you lost today, I remember this because I did this for the Hog Saving podcast. If you lost today, your percent chance for the Giants of making the playoffs goes up to like 70%, and Washington is down like next to 20%. And if they lost against the Giants again in 2 weeks, you're basically out of the playoffs. So from a playoff perspective, you cannot afford to lose to the Giants at all. So getting a tie in this situation gives you one more chance to beat them and put them away out of their misery, but you cannot lose. And if you lose, you're basically done with. So that's the only reason why I'm saying like you're actually from a relief perspective, you better off tying this game. But nobody wants to tie. I would rather go for it on that 3rd and 9. I would rather try to pass the ball and get a first down and keep that drive alive than punt it after a run.
Yeah, I mean,
and take my chances.
Yeah, you know the playoff implications. I'm not really paying attention to any of the playoff implications.
Oh yeah, well I just feel
I just feel like going into a bye and you play this team the week after the bye, like this for the players feels like a loss damn near, because you work all week, you work hard to win these games. You're not playing to end in a draw, especially against a division foe. Like, and when you had an opportunity to win this game, you could have went up 14-0. Like, you're not capitalizing on points. It's been an issue all season in the red zone. And it's like, if you know your quarterback isn't good in the red zone, dial up better run plays, gadget plays, something. You have 2 former quarterbacks at tight end in Logan Thomas and Cole Turner. Get creative, like do something more, like add a spunk, something, because defenses are sitting back and they know what you want to do. They know they rather Taylor throw the ball. Like, I say this all the time on the show, on Twitter, whatever. I want to know who does Taylor Heineke pray to, because the passes that he throws should be pick sixes. Like,
every time, dog.
They should be pick sixes. Like, this dude gets so damn lucky. I don't even know. Like, God loves him. Whoever he prays to, Buddha, whoever, I don't know. They love him. But at this point, man, you definitely have to give Carson Wentz the opportunity to run this offense that they've been running with Taylor Heineke, and hope that the passing game gets more open. I mean, when you're going against secondaries that are this battered and injured, you got to be able to take advantage of it. You got to be able to even say, hey, let's switch this up a little bit. Like, let's do something that they're not prepared for. Like, we got to get Terry involved in the game more. Like, we got to get Curtis. We got to get Jahad Dotson involved more. Like we just got to do a little bit more. We got to get Gibson involved a little bit more. But now what is happening? Like they just sit back and expect Brian Robinson to just run over people all damn day and sprinkle in Gibson. And yeah, you're just in the same boat. And once you get behind, as you can see with this offense, it's hard as shit to score. Like if Dotson doesn't really make that play on his own, I don't think they score in the red zone. I don't think they score in the red zone at all.
It would have been hard. Like the shorter that field opportunity got for him. AJ, there was a one point in time. Let me see if I can find the numbers. Boom, 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 boom. I may just have to go back to my Twitter accounts. So there was a point in time where Washington, in that spurt where they weren't getting anything in that second half, including the actual fumble to start off the second half, they had where is it? Like a third and here we go. So the last 3 drives, when they ended up punting and kicking the field goal and missed that field goal, they had a 3rd and 13 twice, a 3rd and 21, and then when they fumbled from Taylor Heineke, they had a 3rd and 8. So they had all these 3rd and longs where they presented no opportunity to even have a chance at converting in these situations. And to your point, in which we've been saying for a long time, it's just like we always asked if this was sustainable. We kind of knew the answer. We just didn't know when it was going to show itself and reveal itself. And you trailed for a long period of time in which your defense held you in the game. They stood up. They changed it. They changed the tone in that second half. And your offense kept finding a way to get off the field. Again, you had 2 long drives, but I mean that means nothing if you're not scoring points, let alone settling for a field goal, in which they did that one opportunity, and Joey Schlatt ends up missing it. I don't know where is he said, as much as I say Wentz, but nah, if you're looking for a passer, I say just bring in Howell for the simple reason if you play Wentz and he stinks, we're gonna release him and we will drop a draft pick.
How the fuck can y'all say some shit like that, bro? Like
what you mean?
Y'all what this office is asking out of Taylor Heineke as a passer is things that Wentz has already been successful doing in this league. That's what I try to convey on the show and on the certain people on Twitter. Like, if they play the same scheme that they're playing with Taylor Heineke with Wentz, he can be successful in that because you're not asking him to do much. These are basic reads that are wide open.
But see, and additionally, the Howell part. And Zoo, we're not picking on you, big dog. I know you're just checking in. But the Howell part, this conversation has been going on for some time now. I think the Howell is out of the conversation just simply off the fact that they're in the P word race. I'm doing that for my boy AJ, but they're in the P word race. So Howell at this point is actually just completely out of the picture. But to the Howell point, it's so much deeper than just talking about a passer or like an arm strength thing. We don't know his development to this point, but Ron did highlight like a couple of weeks ago that he still had to work on processing and being quicker and being better with his feet. He said that in the interview, and he showed he encompassed like what it would take to Howell to really even see some progress in terms of the depth chart part. AJ, you go ahead and finish your thought.
Yeah, man. So like, there's a lot of comments on here. Just because if you play Wentz for the remainder of the year doesn't mean that he's coming back next year. Like, Carson Wentz is not going to be a Commander next year. Because either Watson be stupid and extend him for a larger amount, or yeah, that's it. Because I mean, even in the open market, he's not worth what he's getting paid even right now. Like the backup market is not really that big. I mean, just look at Jimmy Garoppolo's deal that he changed to in order to continue to be with the 49ers. I just feel like your quarterback for this team next year is not on the roster right now. I don't believe Howell has a chance to start. I believe he has some talent, but I also believe that there's better quarterbacks that will be available in next year's class that they could possibly, scoop up on, whether it be a first-round pick or a second-round pick. Either way, that's down the line. Right now, going into the bye, you just need to go ahead and make this announcement and let Carson Wentz know that he'll be starting when they come back against the Giants, and just build up a scheme that still plays off of what they've been doing with Taylor Heineke and running the ball in and getting Carson Wentz back and acclimated with Terry McLaurin, Jahad Dotson, and Curtis Samuel. I don't even really think you should treat this bye week like an off week. I think maybe players should get a couple of days off, but they should still be held accountable to be back Sunday to get some workout in or whatever, and head into the next week. I mean, you'll get the rest of this week off, but like the following week, like you definitely need to be back in town and ready to go. Yeah, it just sucks that we just watched the game for 4 hours and it ended up in a draw, man. Like it's just the worst thing. We watched some bad football being played by by both sides of the ball, but I mean, at the end of the day, I think that they have to make this call and decision and move on from Taylor Heineke. You need more from that passing game. I feel like if you could have been able to complete more passes, you should get those chances. And Joey Sly, I mean, I was nervous he was gonna miss the extra point to tie it to be 2020, honestly. So I'm not even surprised that he missed a field goal attempt. I just don't think that's his range. But Scott Turner also has to understand who he's working with, and it's really confusing for me because this is Taylor Heineke was brought in primarily because that's someone he trusted. That's one of his guys, and we have yet to really seen that relationship grow in the tenureship that Taylor has had to be able to be a starter for this team, and also the play caller being Scott Turner. We have yet to see their relationship develop to be something that plays off what Taylor does well and what he doesn't do well. Like, we keep putting him in the same positions to do the same thing. Like, I don't know how many strip sacks there's been since he's been starting, but it feels like almost every game there's at least one opportunity for the defense to get the strip sack. Maybe they might recover it, maybe they don't. Like I said, a couple passes that he threw today should have been picks, and you just can't have that happening with your starting quarterback. Like, there's too
I
many
will
plays to
say
be made.
there's a couple things, and I wanted to make sure that because I was trying to leave it up here as long as I could, but you did bring up a point, and I think for all this worth dirt, I'm not gonna sit here and say that he doesn't do anything well. I think that he does at times perform well under pressure. I think that touchdown to Terry McLaurin where they ran a pressure, some type of pressure. I want to say it was cover zero. And he was able to elude on the right side. Cornelius Lucas, of course, gives up more pressure on the edge. He had himself a challenging day. And he's not that good in pass protection altogether, but able to elude pressure on that call and find Terry McLaurin, who had to make a tough catch. But it is what it is. He gave him that opportunity and got the ball out, and it ends up leading to a touchdown. And then your last drive, you go 8 plays, 90 yards. That fourth down to Curtis Samuel. I honestly don't think that they should have went for it, AJ. Because and for everybody that's in here, I get it. When you gamble, you're either right or you're wrong. He gambled, he won. You shut me up, right? But if you're talking about from a management standpoint, the way your defense have been playing, you forced like 4 or 5 punts to that point. And you're in a situation where you have 4 timeouts with the 2-minute warning. And that's a sidebar. They convert it. We keep it pushing, right? But you have 2 plays to Curtis Samuel on a fourth down, and then a play or 2 later, you get him for 45 yards for Curtis Samuel on that drive, and you ultimately hook up with Jahan Dotson, who dots up that slot cornerback for the touchdown. So to your point, that's been, I would say, it's shown itself at times this season. The biggest one was the Colts game. Where he was under pressure in those last 2 drives, you had to get points on the board, and he did just that for your offense. I think, and I said it, if you all look at the film session, or if you was here during the film session, you saw like that was the best two series I've seen from Taylor Heineke, and to this day it still is the best two series that I've seen from Taylor Heineke all year, and probably his entire career in Washington. Like, that's how good it was. So kudos to him in those moments. But I don't think, again, when we talk about that Carson or Taylor situation, you just really got to understand, like, take your flaws for both players, because I don't think either one of them are good. I'm just telling you that right now. I don't think either one of them are good. But you got to take your flaws and say which ones am I willing to live with. And if you're willing to live with that Taylor Heineke thing, and if you think that Carson Wentz isn't going to be that bad, then you probably should roll with the guy with the at least a stronger arm, if you can live with his flaws.
Yeah, because I mean, it's like the flaws are very glaring in Taylor Heineke's case. So you might as well you already know what Wentz is, but you also know the upside on him, and also add in the in-game experience. This is a guy who has started for a long time, seen so many different looks. Yeah, he may not be able to escape certain things like Taylor Heineke used to do. Um, uh, like Taylor Heineke does. But at the end of the day, if you're running the ball successfully like you have been doing, you can do so much more off of play action with Wentz back there as quarterback than you can with Taylor Heineke. It just sucks. I'm so ready as a fan to stop talking about quarterbacks. Like,
Yeah,
I hope that they solve this issue with quarterbacks sooner or later, because it causes a lot of rift between fans and them always championing for I don't know. Ever since Kurt Warner, I just feel like so many people just think that dudes off the street or these low drafted players can possibly become Kurt Warner or Tom Brady. And sometimes that's not really the case. Like, I know Sam Howell's talented, but for us to be sitting here saying we need to groom Sam Howell, a 5th round pick, is insane. Like, if you ran this team, why would you be trying to groom a 5th round quarterback? That just tells you I have a quarterback issue overall. Like, like, there's so much more talent out here in the quarterback universe that you can bring in. Like, shit. Like, one of Mual's guys is Jameis Winston. I still think he can play. Like, he can still
the page on him, my brother. I ain't saying he asked, but I turn the page on him, my brother, and I'm so sorry to say.
But I'm just saying, like, at the end of the day, people need to stop being fixated on some of these players, some of these guys that they root for on their team. Like, I've said it to y'all privately, and maybe I've said it publicly. A lot of people rave about Cam Curl. I don't see it. I don't see it. And today there was a play where it was like, they speak so highly of your football IQ, but yet on a 3rd and 10, you try to strip the ball.
Yeah, that
instead of tackling him short. Like, make it make sense. Even the play that put Giants in position to go for this field goal to possibly end the game, you went for a pick instead of batting the ball down. Like,
would you have not gone? Now I'm gonna ask you: would you have not gone for the pick,
bro?
AJ,
he wants a pick so bad. Somebody has told him that if he makes more picks, he's gonna get paid. Because I've seen him be in positions to just bat balls down, and he's sitting there going for picks. Yeah, you would love to get an interception if it's there to get, but if you're doing acrobatic moves to get an interception, bro, just bat the ball down.
That boy
got like football IQ. Like, nah, he trying to get them damn picks and rack them up. Like, and it's crazy because I was up late as hell last night, and I happened to come across a game where he was mic'd up, and he was talking about how he wanted to get a turnover so bad. And it's like, I could see that on the field. Like, my boy, you are trying to strip somebody on 3rd and 10 instead of just tackling them short. Then I see you dive like you on Madden for a pick. Just bat the ball down when you're in position. And yeah, it's just sometimes when people root for their team, they think guys are so much better than what they truly are. And yeah, he's just one of those guys for me. I just don't really see it. But I'm hoping that, after this bye, that Jack Del Rio and company make some adjustments and understand that Daniel Jones will run the fucking ball. Brian Daboll will dial up those plays. He ran power reads with Daniel Jones today and everything. Like, Washington did not seem prepared to stop any of that. There was opportunities where their D ends crashed on plays where they should have stayed outside.
Montez Sweat.
Yeah, they're not prepared for a dual threat quarterback.
And I think that was strategic off the strength of like I have seen Montez do that this time. Like he's a slanter in a sense of like he did that a lot playing off of like Jonathan Allen on the right side of the defense. And I think that New York Giants saw him on the edge on the opposite on the left side of the defense and said we're going to test his ability to stay outside the edge. And lo and behold, what did he do? He went under that tight end. Daniel Jones went right around him for like 10 yards in the first down. And like to that point, I think we do need Chase back. But at the same time, Travie, this is a situation where you don't know. First of all, Chase's impact ability on his defense, but also if he's going to play just like Montez Sweat played today. Matter of fact, Montez is under his concussion protocol. I didn't hear that until the end of the game.
Oh, for
so
real?
we don't even. Yeah, he's under concussion protocol. But I mean, the bye week may help him. But
that Chase situation is hella weird, bro. Because I told y'all he was supposed to start. He was supposed to start against Atlanta, right? And then all of a sudden, I think the day of the game or the night before, they said that he's sick. But this man was out in the club Sunday night. So I'm like, I don't know what is really going on, but yeah, some ain't right, dog. But either way, even Chase at 60% is better than 100% James Smith-Williams. So
hey, but James Smith-Williams and Casey Toohill, they know how to secure that edge, bro. Montez can't do it.
Yeah,
I mean, let me stop talking. It was just one game, bro. But still,
they got no choice but to secure the edge because they ain't getting nowhere else. They ain't like
get your job done, man. You know what I'm saying? Know your role, player.
Out there. And yeah. So it's just interesting, but I don't know. I told y'all with Chase, man, I would have just kept him out for the rest of the year, but who knows, man? They tweaking now because
really
you can't be ready to play last week, and now all of a sudden you can't play this week. It has nothing to do with that turf. FedEx Field is not. It's not any better.
It's not even better, and that's bro. That is so frustrating to hear because it's like how are y'all telling us y'all don't want him on at MetLife turf, but then say save him for the home game, and we talking about FedEx Field, like the same FedEx Field that has a reputation of MetLife, like they're in the same boat. What are we talking about? That was so frustrating, but I ain't even about to go down that lane, bro. AJ, we have a few more things to talk about, but we're going to save that for Tuesday. We do have a guest coming on, and if it's this week, everybody's going to be in good shape. I want to make sure we give the floor at least to like 2 questions. We'll talk about it when the day comes on Tuesday. This is the bye week. That will be the only show during the week. Yeah, they did put in like new grass, or they treated it. But I'm just saying, like, the reputation still exists.
That's what they say.
Yeah, I'm about to say the reputation still exists, but they treated it and quote unquote improved the field. That's whatever. That's neither here or there. But one show this week in terms of Washington Commanders side, the Commanders morning show will be here Monday and Wednesday of this week, and then all 32 on Wednesday. So look forward to the podcast on Tuesday. We'll make sure we get some callers through so we can at least get you on with the guests for like a question or two. He's limited on time. So we'll see, but once it's official, I'll say the name. I don't like to put the cart before the horse type of deal. So
man, say the name.
Nah, we ain't gonna do that. I don't do that. That's you. That's what you do. I don't do that.
Say the name. Nah, I actually I've been talking to Defo and
don't do it, bro. Don't. Hold on, dog. Hold on, man. Nah. No, man, we ain't doing that. All right, I'm about to take you off mute, AJ. You got to calm down, brother.
I mean, I have no clue who you talk to. I just know who I talk to try to come on here.
Oh, my God. All right, put it. Matter of fact, yeah, put the names out there. I'll just say, put it this way. This is what AJ's saying. I'm staying out of this. Go ahead, let the people know who you've been talking to, my brother.
Yeah, man, I'm just trying to get I'm trying to get at least for this week's episode, Defo and possibly Clinton Portis on our show Tuesday. And then as we go down the stretch, maybe some more guests come in here and give their opinion. But Yeah, I have no clue who Mual has spoken to, limited time, none of that. But
I was in
you
the
know,
chat. It's nothing. It's yeah. It's
okay,
probably I probably just really sized it now that I'm thinking about it. But it's in the chat. I talked about it maybe a
okay.
day or two ago.
Either way, we here to just chop it up with y'all, me, Maul, and Dre, football. You know, and with the commenters in here, it look like we got some new people coming in and giving in their opinion, and that's what we really do it for: the love of the team, the love of the sport. Either way, we always gonna produce good content and a good conversation for y'all. We just hope that y'all join in the conversation a bit more and engage with us and let us know what's on your mind. Just don't come in here talking about no fucking Sam Howell no more, or trying to hype up Taylor Heineke. That's all I ask on my end.
And I ask that you keep doing it because I love AJ's reactions. But nah, we out of here, man. So listen, appreciate you, Amani, as always. Open show on Tuesday. We'll get our thoughts off again. Dre will be back, so we make sure we get his thoughts as well, and we'll have a guest or maybe two guests lined up. But definitely we'll have some calls, man, and make sure the link is in the chat for anybody and everybody that wants to join. So y'all take it easy, man. Enjoy the rest of y'all games this week. AJ, or today. AJ, you stay safe, big dog, and I will rap to you on Tuesday. Yeah, you know what time it is, man. We out of here, dog.